All right, kids, how are you? If you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I'm glad you're here. We're back another week. You guys, I'm sure, are wanting to go back to school and see your teachers and all those things, but I'm excited that I have the chance to teach you the Bible. I don't get this opportunity all the time, so we're becoming friends around God's Word. I hope you'll take a minute because we're starting early. Well, we're not starting early. We're just on early. Take a second, share the video with your friends so they can jump on time. Make sure you have a pen. Make sure you have paper. Maybe some crayons would be better. We're going to be coloring a lot, and I want you to take notes by coloring. And I gotta be honest, guys. I really want to see your pictures. You gotta post them after we get done. I just love seeing your artwork, seeing how you're thinking about and trying to display what God's doing and says in His Word. So make sure you've got some crayons or some colored pencils or markers, some paper, a copy of God's Word if you can read. Maybe even if you have a copy of God's Word and can't read yet, it'd be great for you to follow along. You remember last week we went through the big picture of God's Bible in 6 days, or really I squished them together into 5 days, and we thought together about what it means for us that we need to give our lives to Jesus so that He can save them, and instead of keeping them for ourselves. Now, what we're going to do this week is we're going to go back to the very beginning where we started on Monday. And I know a bunch of you know a ton about God's Word. And I know you've probably heard a lot of these stories. And blah, blah, blah. Listen, every day of your life, kids, for the rest of your life, every time you look at God's Word, it is going to be awesome if you come hungry, if you come expectant, if you come and say, God, I want to know you. A page and a passage that you've read before, don't ever think, oh, I already know that. God is so big and so beautiful and so powerful and so majestic that you'll never look at Him twice and think, well, I already saw that. For all of eternity, that's what the Bible tells us. And I'm excited for us to look at some passages that some of you may know and some of you might not know. And I want to help you think about God's Word. And today we're going to start in the very first page, page 1 of the Bible. All right, page 1 of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1. Remember, that's the book that talks about the beginnings. We talked about this last Monday. And hey, we're going to start our week again with Genesis chapter 1. But I'm really going to ask you guys to draw and color a lot today. So I hope you've got your fingers limbered up. Why don't you do that? Can you get your fingers limbered up? Are your fingers ready? Show me. This is coloring hands, we'll call it, okay? If you were a dancer, this would be called jazz hands. Can you do that? All right, get your shoulders ready because you know that a lot of the strength for coloring comes out of your shoulders. You don't want to get your elbows hurt, so why don't you give me a little of this? Okay, good. We're ready. We're ready to rock. Get your neck loose. All right, good. I'm ready to color. I hope you're ready to color. Most importantly, we're ready to hear about God's Word, okay? So let's read the first verse of the entire Bible, Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, if I told you, you came in from your house and your mom saw you, my kids and I and my wife, we all went to the park yesterday and we kept our distance from people, but we were playing and it was muddy. We were walking through the woods and we were getting covered in mud. Now imagine my son Judah or my daughter Charlie or my son Henry coming in the house and they're covered in mud and my wife says, "You are muddy top to bottom." That's everywhere, right? That's all over you, head to toe. You're covered in mud head to toe. What's my wife saying? She's saying there's mud everywhere, all of you, from the whole thing. Well, when the Bible starts with saying, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, you could think, wait, the Bible's telling me that God created top to bottom everything, all of it. And that's what we're going to focus on in these few minutes together, is how God made everything. In fact, today, the big idea I want you to learn is this. Everything was made by God, for God. Can you say that? Everything was made by God, for God. Try and say it loud enough that I can hear you through the computer, okay? Scream it. Unless you've got a sleeping baby brother or sister, yell to me. Everything was made by God, for God, okay? And that's what we're going to see. So I'm going to show you how, as God's word explains this. So let me keep reading the next couple verses. It says, "Now the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light.' And there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from darkness, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day." Day one. Okay, we're going to draw each day. And so what I want you to draw today for day one is light. All right, what do you think we should draw for light? I think I'm going to draw a flashlight. Okay? Now, I don't know what you want to draw, but I am going to draw a flashlight. And you can draw whatever you think of. There's our button. Okay, there's our nozzle here. And then let's see. Okay, how's that? Day one, God creates light. That's D1. Okay? God created light. Now that is the first day of creation. Now let's keep reading. And the second, God says, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made a vault and separated the water from the water. Under the vault there was water above it and water under it. And God called the vault sky, and there was evening and there was morning, the second day. Now the second day, God separates the waters below from the waters above. So let's erase our flashlight, sadly. I know it's so nice. But we see God separating the waters. We can almost think about him creating atmosphere. But for right now, why don't you color some water for me? Okay? Some water below. And I think a good way for us to just picture this is just, can you put some clouds above? Can you put some clouds in the sky? So we have water like this, and we have water like this. All right? That's day 2. Now, I know on your paper, you even be a place where you want to have like boxes that you've drawn each of these pictures in. Because now we're going to move on to day 3. We've got a whole bunch of days to get in. And so I know I'm moving fast. I know you probably want to go back and color. And you can. You can go back and color in your clouds. Or you can go back and color in your flashlight. But I want to make sure that we get these 6 days. And we've only got 15 minutes. So, I know Mom's got breakfast on the table for you guys. Look at day 3. God said, "Let the water gather again." Uh-oh, guys, I'm sorry, I have some trouble here on the internet. And I want to make sure our YouTubers, are you back, YouTubers? Sorry, we had some trouble there. Okay, let's read on chapter 1, verse 9. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let the dry ground appear." And it was so. And God called the dry ground land, and he gathered the waters he called sea. And God saw that it was good. And then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, trees on the and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And so all that happened, and God saw that it was good, and it was the third day. The third day, okay? So now, here's what I want you to do. First, draw some water, okay? You can put your clouds back up. But here's what happens. Can you feel the ground rumble? Okay? Can you feel the ground move? God begins to create and bring up land out of the sea. Dry ground where it's not covered by water. You guys know that underneath the water there is ground as well, right? And God brings up dry ground out of the water, and you know what happens on the dry ground out of the water? He brings little sprouts, something growing. Maybe we should draw a tree as well, okay? So God creates trees and plants and vegetation. And there's day 3. Did I do day 3 already? Okay. Now, let's keep going. Let's keep walking through. I'm sorry, guys, if you're on there and you're having trouble with the internet connection here. I'm not sure what's going on with the church's internet today. So we've got dry ground, we've got land, but then we kind of take a step back. And it says here in God's word that God created in day 4 the sun, the moon, the planets, and the stars. And he says, God, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate day from night, and let them serve to sign as signs of marking sacred times, days, and years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the great light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. And he also made stars. So it goes on to say, God saw that it was good, and it was evening, and there was morning, the 4th day. All right, so now what do we got to draw? We've got to draw a sun. Can you draw a sun? This is probably one that you guys are probably a lot better at than I am, okay? There's a sun, right? And we have, you probably got crayons. I don't have crayons, so you can make that yellow. And then we'll make a moon, right? We're going to make this moon like this. Now, you guys know that the moon only looks like that because the earth blocks it and creates a shadow on the moon. If we were drawing the whole moon, then we would see it another way. In fact, let's try that. You can draw the moon like this, right, with some craters. That's why they call it the man in the moon, right? There you go. And then we have stars, okay? Now, I'm just going to put spots all over for stars, but there are, if you've ever seen pictures of stars, our sun is actually a star, and man, they are incredible and beautiful, and I would love for you to look that up, maybe with your parents on the internet. You could look at some stars and some of the pictures that we have that are just beautiful of what God has created. Okay, so that is day 4, right? Day 4, God created the lights in the sky. Day 5, okay? Put your hands up, 5 fingers, okay? 5 fingers, and God created on day 5 flying creatures and sea creatures, okay? So let's read it. God says in verse 20 of chapter 1, let the water teem with living creatures. Let the birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living creature and every living thing with which the water teems that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the water in the seas, and let the birds in the sky increase on the earth. And this is good, and it's the 5th day, right? So now here's what I need you to do. I need you to draw something that lives in the ocean, all right, and something that flies in the sky. All right, so I'm going to draw, let's see, an eagle. I'm going to draw an eagle. I don't have great skills, but this is the way I'm going to fill this in after, okay? So watch. All right, let's give him a beak, an underbeak. Eagles kind of have an intensity there, and then we're going to give him a tail and maybe some claws there. Okay, so there's our eagle. All right, and then what about, let's go with a whale, right? I feel like a whale should look like this, and then we'll have a big tail. Oh, that's kind of a weird whale tail, but he's got a blowhole, right? And he's got water coming out of it, and this, and a big mouth. And I love the way that it looks like a whale even has a beard sometimes, right? It's not a beard, but it's kind of like his belly. So he puts the water, he puts animals in the water, he puts animals in the air, or excuse me, not animals, but he puts creatures in the water, creatures in the air, and fills it up. I would love to see your pictures of what you create. Okay, personally, a whale and an eagle, I'm down with that. That's a good representative of each of these things that lives in the sea. Okay, so this is what? Day D5. There we go. Now what? We have another big day. Day 6. Day 6. Day 6 is when God creates land animals. So give me some land. All right, and then, looks like my marker's starting to run out. Day 6, it says, God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. And God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Now, Tomorrow, we're going to spend a little more time thinking about the last creatures, the best creatures that God made at the top of his creation, mankind. But today, we're just going to put these animals on the board, okay? So, let's see. I want you to give me a livestock, give me another kind of animal, and give me something that crawls on the ground, okay? Because there's those that are mentioned there. I'm going to give a, let's see. Let's see if you guys can figure out what this is before... Okay, if you can tell me what that is, then that's my creeping thing that crawls on the ground. I'd love to see your comments on Facebook Live if you know what that is. All right, and then let's see. We got to have a, let's just have a, no, it's not a face. It's not a face. Don't go too far, okay? All right, all right. Maybe we'll even give this little cow a bell. Okay, there's my cow kind of facing towards us. All right, got to have a spot. There we go. There's my livestock. We've got a horse, a scorpion. Good, nice. Okay, there's a horse. We've got a scorpion. And then we've got to have some kind of other animal. A crab. Sarah Span says a crab. No, it's a scorpion. Okay, so let's go with what kind of wild animal should we pick? I think that we should pick... Now, what is this? Boom. Okay, I'm not sure I've ever done... He's got a broad chest, this Tyrannosaurus Rex, and little itty bitty arms, right? Boom. Is that a pouch? I don't think Tyrannosaurus Rexes had a pouch, but that was supposed to be some kind of a... Here, there we go. Maybe that's a little bit better. And some claws. That's a rough one. I'll work on my Tyrannosaurus Rex. A dinosaur, a land animal, okay? You can draw me a land animal that you love. Maybe you want to draw a gorilla. Maybe you want to draw a bear. Maybe you want to draw something. This is definitely my worst piece of art in our entire time in Kids Club. Forgive me. I didn't plan to draw a dinosaur. Instead, that looks like a windsock outside of the mechanic's shop. So we'll forget about it. But here's what you got to remember, kids. Okay, we saw God create all these incredible spaces and fill them with incredible things. And I want you to remember this. God made everything. Let me back up. Say it with me the way we said it. Everything is made by God, for God. Can you say that out loud? Everything is made by God, for God. Everything is made by God, for God. All right? That is the big picture we need to know from this part of Genesis chapter 1. Everything is made by God, for God. I'll see you tomorrow.